What's up? How you doing? Here we are. Beautiful day today. Beautiful day. A little bit on the hot side, but it's beautiful. Today I went and my daughter, she needed brand new sneakers, so I had to go out where Converse lives and get sneakers there. And while I was there, I got a t-shirt because I'm a big fan of Converse. Converse were my first good sneakers in my life. Before that, I would get like Tom McCann sneakers or Favor, something like that, some cheap brand, because I didn't know any better. And then I went to a school where all the kids had these nice sneakers, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want sneakers like that, not these Tom McCann things. So before I get into that, I'm gonna make some tea here. I have a different kind of tea. I really enjoy this. It's white tea, 100% white tea. So this is authentic, 100% white tea, and this is only grown in the mountains of China. Fujian province. So white tea is like a premium kind of tea. It's got very little processing done, if any. The fly here, I wish I had my swatter thing. I'd get it right now. It's a perfect opportunity. Anyway, just bought this. Smells nice. You know what? I'm gonna put two of these bags. Two of these. Because I feel like two. So the water's already hot. And this container contains, what does it say, 50 bags. And it's about 14 bucks for that. So much more expensive than Lipton. It's got a Best Buy. Best Buy February 1st, 2027. So highly recommend white tea. What it's in it. I've had white tea from Stash, which one time, and still, you know, it was my favorite tea company. I used to get Stash tea bags, loose leaf, all that different kind, gun powder tea, regular tea, you name it, the pearl ones, and I don't know how many bags of Stash tea I've had during the past 20 years, but a lot. So anyway, I noticed all these kids, they were wearing Nike, Converse, Puma, Adidas, Pony, and then I had these goofy sneakers. So I went back home and I said, you know what, I need sneakers. So we went to it was like a local sporting goods store, Mama Papa place. And we went in there and I go, those are the ones, called the lady over, and they were way up on the top there. She brought a ladder out and she brought me Converse high top sneakers, the leather ones. Remember the ones with the greater than sign and star? And I got those, and for many, many years I wore Converse. And then one day I said, you know, I keep hearing good things about this company, New Balance. And the good things were that the sneaker came in different widths. So my foot's a little wider than usual. So I went there to they call it an outlet store. It just looked like a regular store to me from my point of view. So I went in there and started trying different ones, and then I became a New Balance guy. Used to buy these black ones, all black, kind of looking like a mailman walking around. But I still am a fan of Converse, as you can see. And it went something like this. I'm pointing to my Converse high top sneakers. You're the greatest, and that ain't no jive. Your standard equipment on the BC Drive. As I fly through the air to make my famous slam dunk, I'm wearing Converse, and that ain't no bunk. Converse by Chuck Taylor. That was the thing back in the old days when I was a kid. And I still say it today. So while I was there, I look over and I see a boot store, and I went and I bought some a pair of boots, and I haven't had Timberland boots in a long time. You know, I buy different ones now, but I saw these and I liked them, and you know, solid, so I ended up buying them. Look at that, good looking boot. Leather, soft leather, and then it has suede on the side here. You know, suede is good because it's tough. You know, leather, if it's too perfect, every scuff mark shows up. You know, the light ones you can get out, you buff them out, but the ones that are deep, you know, where suede can take a bit more of a beating. So I got these. Look at the bottoms, nice, not overly thick, good quality. And you know, the process I hate is the breaking in process, but you got to do it anyway. I want to get my my electric racket here. I'm getting tired. There's a couple of flies that are getting on my nerves. All right, I am back. I got the racket. Now I got the racket. They're gone. It's like they know. They're like crows. They tell each other. Anyway, so I got these. Normally I wear normally I wear Georgia boots normally, but I'm gonna try. These are nice. They're nice, soft, and I haven't had this color in a while. These are not the kind you can put a shine on. These are more like conditioner, you know, on the front. And I guess the suede you leave alone. If you put conditioner here, it kind of, you know, ruins the texture. But yeah, very nice. 100% leather. Good quality work. So my ultimate thing is to get the Americana boots. I think Nick's boots are that version, but Nick's boots are good. White's boots. I think Nick's for me have certain boots that I prefer. So get those. Those are handmade. They're a bit more expensive. They're about 800 bucks, maybe 860, somewhere in there, and no real sale. I mean, that's what it is. Alright, so this stuff has been sitting here. It's hot. Come on, fly. They should make these smell like something where the fly is attracted to it. And then it's like zing, 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 zing. So yeah, we went to a bunch of stores today. And my daughter wanted Converse, canvas Converse, but the 70 version, right? It's a better quality Converse than the other one, and we couldn't find it. So we saw some leather ones that resemble the canvas ones, and we decided, okay, well, she decided that, you know, those are the ones, and so she grabbed them. And the other ones, the Converse that are canvas, the Chuck Taylors, the logo is like a sticker looking cheap, you know, so we didn't want those. And then as we're leaving, almost ready to leave to go pay, she noticed the ones that she likes to buy, and they had them, but they did not have her they didn't have her size. So I thought, like, you know, it was like the old days. I said, oh, when are you guys gonna get some in here? And he goes, oh, I don't know. He goes, we're getting a shipment tomorrow, but I don't know if we're gonna get these specific ones. And then he thought about it. He probably said, this is an old guy. He probably doesn't know about these things. He said, you know what? You can order it online. And I said, oh, I did know that. I just didn't know. I didn't think of it then. And I said, oh, okay. So he goes, just take a picture of this, you know, that whatever that's called, right? And I did, and I tapped on it, and then he gave me the shoes, and my daughter found her size, and I ordered them, and they'll be here in a few days. So if I knew that, I wouldn't have driven up there, right? You know, But the fact is that by going up there, I found these boots here. I don't know if you can get a good look. They're really nice quality. Got that leather smell, and the bottoms are nice. So I will probably wear them tomorrow to break them in. And I got a t-shirt. They had a good deal. I didn't pay attention to the deal, so I got this off the rack and I went to pay for it, and he's explaining, the guy at the register is explaining something to me, like, you know, it's like secret, you know, and I thought he was trying to just get more money out of me. And delicious. Good stuff. Delicious. So he says to me, it's $28 for one, or you could buy two, he goes, and it's $25. So in my brain, when that information went in, my brain processed it as you could buy one for $28, or if you buy two, they'll be $25 each. So you get the two for $50, right? But that's not what he meant. So I looked at him and I'm thinking, oh, you're really pushing, you know, the thing, and I really don't need two of the same design. And then he explained it a second time, because apparently he figured out that I wasn't getting it. And he said to me, if you buy two, they're $25. And I said, oh, you mean if I get two, I pay $25? And he goes, yeah. I go, wow. Then why would anybody buy one? See, the sign that I read made it sound like, you know, if you buy one, it's 28, but if you buy two, then it's not 28, it's 25 a piece. So you get two and you save $6, right? So, but that's not, that the sign should say buy two. Yeah, I guess that's what it said. I just didn't read it right. But a very good deal. So I got two t-shirts, $25 instead of 28 for one. He's probably thinking, why is this guy refusing? Because I told him, man, I don't need another one. And he goes, oh, well, you know, you get just the one. He goes, it's 28, but if you get the two, it's 25. And even then, I thought he meant 25 a piece. So he should have said it's 25 together. Then I would have said, oh, I get you now. That's good tea. Good tea. White tea is good. Green tea is good. Black tea is my favorite, though. And we had a spot today where the air temperature spiked. So what happened was, as you're driving through this area, it's a hot zone. So as you're driving through the area, you'll start off, that's LAPD, you'll start off at like 101 degrees. Today was 101. We start off, we kept climbing and climbing and climbing, and you could tell the air was getting drier and hotter. And then we went to 104, went to 108, 111, 112, 114, and we peaked at 118. So we drove through an area today, it was 118 degrees, very, very hot. I remember one time years ago, I wanted to shoot a video with my daughters with a Halloween theme. So, or should I say more like a more like a, what's the other guy there, Jason, more like a Friday the 13th theme. So I went and I bought the outfit, bought the latex mask, I got the hockey mask, I got a wool coat, 100% wool, and we went to the desert to shoot a video. It just so happens that the temperature on that day was 111 degrees, and I had that thing on. And you know, when you shoot a video, it's not, you know, if the video is going to be 5 minutes long, it's going to take over a half hour to shoot that, you know, because you got to change the camera. Mama's boy rushing home, give mama a kiss on the cheek, forehead maybe, that's what that is. So anyway, you got to change the camera angles and reshoot some stuff. You didn't get the right, you know, angle before, and it takes time. So you're lucky if it's only a half hour. Sometimes it can take an hour for 5 minutes. Well, that day, you know, you don't want to keep taking the stuff off. We were shooting and shooting, and I was like, you know, chasing my daughters with the outfit on and the machete. And inside, I could feel the water just rolling down my body, just rolling, rolling, rolling. It felt like beads of mercury. And then finally we shot it, finished. I took it off. And even though it was 111 degrees outside, when I took off all that stuff, the latex mask and the wool jacket and all of that, it felt nice and cool out. You know, it had that, you know, because I guess I was at around 125, 130 degrees in there. But yeah, it was rough. Desert gets hot. I was in the Death Valley portion of the desert about 20 years ago. I mean, I've been back there, you know, since that time. But I was in there and with my wife. Okay. And on that day, it was 127 in Death Valley. But we were in a car and we had the AC. But we did step out at that Furnace Creek, and it was hot. It was hot. I mean, I could feel the sweat coming to this point and then evaporating. You know, unlike the East Coast or, you know, a lot of the country, like Texas is that way, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. The entire East Coast is like that. You just keep sweating and it never dries. You know, literally you could walk around the block and come back and you're drenched. You're drenched. You gotta change shirts. That's good. Delicious. So here we are. That's today, Thursday. Gonna eat soon. Not yet. Soon. After I finish my tea. When I get a little older, I'd like to get a nice boat. Nothing big, you know, maybe a little bit bigger than the Suburban, and go down to Marina Del Rey and have it down there, you know, and every so often just go out, maybe go out to the Channel Islands or Catalina Island and hang around there, do some fishing off the side, you know, whatever, I don't know, get some good fish, have a grill on board, cook it there, you know, and you know, have like powerful engines that can get you out of a mess if there's like, I don't know, like a storm coming. You outrun it, nice big tidal wave, you go faster, although those things can go 500 miles an hour, tidal waves. So I don't think you can get a boat to go that fast. Yeah, that was my father's passion. He wanted to get a boat, never got one though, wanted to get a boat. When I was little, we would go fishing, a lot of fishing in those days, and even when I got older, we'd still go. But when I was little, we would go a lot. And we'd fish in this area that had a lot of fish. Throw the thing in, pull it out, you had fish, 2 at a time. Very busy location. They started overfishing there. And the fishing, you know, it dropped off a bit. You know, you couldn't get as many, but you would still get a few. I mean, you know, not filling up the buckets, but you'd fill up half a bucket. And my father would always say, oh, gotta get a boat. Get a little boat and go out into the ocean and fish out, you know, a mile or 2 into the ocean. And he never did that. He never got one. You know, every time he'd look at one, he'd say, yeah, I like it, but it's a little expensive. So we never got a boat. But I wouldn't mind getting one. It's a good escape, even if you're not going to fish. I'd go out there at nighttime. You know, I like this idea of night what do you call it, boating, not sailing. I want an engine, want a motor on there. And I would go out there, and it's kind of creepy. You're out there at night, no moon, and all of a sudden you look and an island pops up in front of you, you know. But I would have a little, you know, a decent size, you know. I'm not talking about a rowboat. I'm talking about, you know, something bigger than a Suburban. And I would have it in there, and I would go to Catalina Island, Channel Island, whatever's out there. If I had enough fuel, I would go to the uninhabited islands out in the South Pacific, but I think I'd run out of fuel. Spent a lot of time at the beach when I was a kid. I'm not as fascinated anymore, you know, as I was back then. Now you know, I'll go there and I'll walk on the shoreline, and you know. But if I get in, I'm in. You know, if I get in and then my body gets acclimated to the temperature, then you know, you have a hard time getting me out. You need chains to pull me out. It's like, oh, come on, let's go. But I enjoy it once I'm, you know, in the water and I'm, you know, used to the temperature. You know, people say, oh, California water is not as warm as Florida's. That's true, it isn't. But once you're in there, then it makes no difference. You just have to get in there and get your body to get used to that temperature, and then it feels warm. It's a weird thing, you know. I've been in the water many times here, and you go in, it's freezing. You're like, oh, it's cold water, and then you dunk, and you come back up, and you go, oh, it's not that cold. So that's what you have to do. You have to go in. Surfers are in there all day. Get the bullfrog, whatever that is, on their nose so they don't burn. But I go up to Leo Carrillo. I used to go when my daughters were really little. We would go down to Manhattan Beach, or even, you know, Newport, but you know, mostly Manhattan. We'd go to Manhattan, Redondo, that area, and we'd stay there all day. And then I discovered Leo Carrillo, so we switched it. It's more remote. You don't have, you know, like if you go down to Manhattan Beach, there's restaurants, there's places you can get a beverage if you're thirsty. You know, there's food there. Leo Carrillo, I mean, there is if you want to drive a little bit. So there's Neptune's Net, which I like. I go there, get some clam chowder and scallops, and they're very good, very good. Prices have gone up though, you know. Clam chowder, I don't know, it's like $100. Very expensive. It's hot. I'm having hot tea, but I don't mind it. The summer is almost gone. My kids start school very soon, and we get back into that routine. Get up early. When school starts, I'm up at 6. You know, I get them up at 6. I go downstairs, make breakfast. Depends, you know. This year they may get it at school, the breakfast, but you know, in the past I would get up, make breakfast, make lunch, pack it up. Every day was something, you know, fresh for lunch. We made, you know, whatever, you know, sometimes it was steak, sometimes, you know, good stuff, tasty, nutritious, you know. And I'd pack a big thermos, nice big thermos with ice and, you know, water. And then they'd go eat that, and you know, and then you go drop them off at the bus stop. They go, they do their whole routine at school, and you know, then homework. They got to do homework. They got to do all that. At the end of the day, you get the homework thing going, and then you eat dinner, watch a little television, go to sleep, and the process begins all over again. And you're like a zombie going through it the whole day, the same thing every day with minor variations. But for the most part, you're doing the same thing every day. So now, next week we start that, getting up early. I don't mind getting up early. Maybe, what I mind, that first 15 seconds where you're like, it's morning already and you got to get up. Then once I'm up, I don't care. I'm up. But it's that feeling like your body is still knocked out in bed and you have to get up. That's a little bit annoying, but it's like a 15-minute thing. 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, I'm okay. And the other thing I hate, like you get up, maybe you got to use the bathroom or something, and sometimes you get up, it's like, 4 o'clock, you look at I have 2 more hours to go, you're fine with that. Other times you get up and it's 5:54, and you're like, oh man, I got to get up anyway now. So, not a fan of that. But like I said, once I'm up, and that 15 seconds, I'm up and I walk around, then I'm fine. It's that 15 seconds that annoys me. Like I'm thinking, oh man, I wish I had another hour. I think everybody feels that way, but I have, I don't sleep in usually unless, I slept like on the weekend. If I go to bed at like 2:30 in the morning, I don't get up at 7 or 6 the next day. I try and catch up a little bit. But, best thing is to, my old schedule, 11 to 7. 11 to 7. Obviously now I don't get up at 7, I get up at 6. 10 to 6 is the best. Do what you have to do. Start wrapping it down at around 9:30. Go do your bathroom stuff, brush your teeth, all that stuff. If you want to take a shower before you go to bed, that's fine. I like them in the morning, bright and early, take a shower then. And go to sleep, get a solid 8 hours, wake up the next day, rested, refreshed, and continue. What I don't like is what I do a lot is where I go to sleep at 2, and then I get up at 6. I hate that, but my younger days, my schedule was 11 to 7. I'd go to bed a little before 11, and I'd get up a little before 7. I'd get up, take a shower, every morning, shower. I got into that shower thing early in life. I had a teacher, Mrs. Black. Heavy, curvy black lady. Very, very, on this issue, was very perfect on everything she did. The way she combed her hair, everything was like tidy, very clean. Everything was perfect. The makeup, lipstick, clean. Like, it looked like they pulled her out of a dry cleaner's. Everything was crisp on her, ironed. And we had a kid in my class, and he was a little bit stinky, like, body odor. I don't know if he wet the bed at night, and then he didn't have time to, take a shower in the morning, and he had a little bit of that fragrance, So, and he didn't comb his hair. He had curly hair, and he didn't comb it. It was all like, I don't know, it was all wrapped up like a Brillo pad, his hair. And I think she gave us, because she taught English, there was no reason for her to teach hygiene. You're an English teacher, you're not the gym teacher or the health teacher. But I think, some people complained about him, and so she gave the whole class a lesson on how to be clean and how to, wash yourself and things like that. But she was concentrating on him. I could see her looking at him when she was talking to us. So she talked about, brushing your teeth, gargling, and this is 6th grade. And up until that point, I wasn't taking a shower every day. Every day. It wasn't in the schedule every day, take a shower. I didn't even think about taking a shower every day when I was in 6th grade. But when she gave us that talk, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to do that. I want to try that everyday shower thing and see how it goes. It was kind of like a shock to my family. My parents, they're like, what are you doing everyday shower? What are you, a construction worker? So anyway, at one point after she gave us a talk about bathing and showering, shampoo, all that stuff, she would go and, take a look at everybody, yeah, that's good, yeah, your hair's nice. And she would get to him, the kid, that I'm talking about, and she would, look him up and down, And then he eventually would go to her and say, "How's my hair today?" This is days after. And she would go, "Oh, today you look really good." You know, but anyway, she gave us that, and from that point on, I became a daily shower guy. Sometimes two, depends on what you're doing. You get up in the morning, you know, you do what you're doing, then you got to take another one at night. But yeah, but all my school years, that was part of the schedule. I'd get up early, take a shower, dress up, do all that stuff, breakfast, then take off, go to school. And yeah, they were like, "What are you doing in the shower?" And then my sister, she got to that age too, and then she started doing the daily shower. So then my parents realized that that's normal, daily shower. Well, I'll tell them this is not the 50s or the 40s where they used to take a shower on Saturday night. Now, you know, especially if I'm on vacation, I've been known to take 3 showers in a day. I enjoy the hot water, I enjoy the soap, all of that. So a lot of times we're on vacation and we go back to the hotel and I take another shower. Refreshing, get the AC down to 65, come out, you know, dry off, go out to dinner, come back at night, take another one. Early in the morning, take a shower before you go out. So I'm a shower guy. You know, I wasn't born in the 1800s where they took a shower once a month. The rest of the time it was cologne. But I always remember Mrs. Black. Mrs. Black. You know, I don't know, she was young back then. I would say back then she couldn't have been more than 28 to 30 years old. Nice lady. She was one of those people, no nonsense. Didn't like any BSing in her class, you know, and she was a good teacher, you know. I didn't have any issues with her. But I remember she took a week off one time from teaching English to teach hygienics. Hygiene. Talked about everything. Clean your ears, your teeth, your hair, you know. She didn't get into anything, you know, that was weird, right? You know, it was just normal stuff, you know, about bathing, things like that. And I took the advice. I began showering daily, and that was something that lasted and lasted and lasted. I know my father would be like, "Look at the bill here with the water." I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? You know, use rainwater, recycle. There's nothing better, you feel lighter than showering up. And when I was a kid, baths was a big thing. Go take a bath. You know, I'm gonna take a bath. Now, you know, I'll take a bath, but it's not that often. I will shower, you know, stand up with the thing going, lather up, rinse, repeat. You know, but before it was like, you know, 1 hour bath. Get in that hot water, you know, get out the rubber ducky like Ernie from Sesame Street, and then you grow up a little bit and you're like, yeah, unnecessary. I'm just gonna take a shower. What I like is to have 4 shower heads, different angles, turn them on, temperature nice and hot, and then you let it run for like, you know, like a minute, get you all wet, and then it shuts off automatically. You lather up and deep scrub, you know, get the fingers come out, lather up, and then you turn them on again, push of a button maybe, so you don't have to do all the turning. Push of a button, and then they come from different angles, 4 shower heads, and they rinse you in like 30 seconds, and then you can repeat the process. That way, you know, you're not wasting the water. You know, you only need what you use. None of it, you know, is there just to go down the drain. But nobody has a bathroom that has 4 shower heads. Although I will say, when I go to the Grand Canyon, the hotel that we stay at has 2 shower heads. They're on opposite sides, and you stand in the middle like a car wash, and they blast you, and you're in there, and I like that area. You know, I like that you rinse fast, and you can, you know, do it. And then they have a jacuzzi right next to that thing, so you can go in the jacuzzi at first, then hop out, go in the shower, and you have the option. You can turn both on, or you can just have one. I turn both on. You gotta enjoy it. So that's it for now. I'm going to investigate what is for dinner. Well, I know what's for dinner, so I'm gonna have to go and prepare it. I'm gonna have to prepare it, and then we're gonna eat. And I may be out here again. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I am very happy though that the series Alone is back. I have all of them recorded. I've been watching them. I love that show. I believe that in my prime, and maybe even now, I could have gone on that show and I could have lasted. One thing is that I'm not a hunter. I have no idea about hunting. I've never hunted in my life. I'm from a city, so it wasn't like I would go out with my BB gun and, you know, get quail. So I don't know anything about hunting. I can fish. Not the best fisherman. I'm not Jacques Cousteau, but I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I'm as good as they are when it comes to that. So if I had to, I could probably survive on fish. But big game, like, you know, buffalo and moose and all that, I would not even bother with that. I don't know what to do with it. I would ruin the animal. You know, it would be like the animal would give up its life, and for nothing. You know, I wouldn't be able to eat all that, and I wouldn't know how to process it. So I would not kill a big animal. Maybe a bird. You know, maybe like a, I don't know, kind of, you know, pheasant, or, you know, some tasty bird. Maybe I could do something like that. Fish, I know I could do. But if I had to kill like a, I don't know, a wildebeest, I wouldn't even know what to do with that. But I love that show. I root for the women to win, because I'd like to see, you know, a female win at that. You know, we know men, they do that kind of stuff. It's in their nature, but women tend to avoid that. So I want to see a woman go in there and show that she could go the distance. A lot of them have gone the distance. A lot of them are very tough. Tougher than the average guy, or even above average guy. You know, they can take them out. They know how to process food. They know how to fish. They know how to build a shelter. So I was watching this guy. He overdid it with the building of a shelter. He built it with flat rocks, about 5.5 feet high. And so he did it, and then he's standing back, and then he goes to add something, and like dominoes, he collapses one side of the wall. Just fell down. All the rocks tumbled. And then he's looking at it, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what to... And he decides to rebuild it, but better than before. So he rebuilt it, because persistence pays, and he made it better, and it didn't collapse. And he's got a structure now that looks like he could live there for about 100 years. That's overkill. I wouldn't waste that amount of energy and calories doing that. Those rocks are heavy. So who knows how many calories he burnt doing that. You know, he may even, like, I may watch later, he may end up going home because it's like, I'm hungry, I lost a lot of weight doing that, and now I can't recover. So hopefully not, but, you know, the shelter I can do. The loneliness I can handle. Sleeping out at night I can do. Sleeping out with the wild animals, that kind of stuff I can do. Building the fire, I can do that. What else is there? Chopping wood, obviously I can do that. The only thing, the weakness would be hunting. I've never done it, so, you know, and it's not something I want to do either. You know, I mean, I could probably take down a bird, but if it came to like a big animal, looking at those eyes, looking at me, I'd have to use like, well, like a bow and arrow or something. You cannot use a slingshot to take down a buffalo. It will not work. The thing will get annoyed, chase you, at 35 miles an hour. You'll be, running at 10. It'll get you. Maybe stick a horn. You get these animals, the rhinos, and then the vultures will come and eat you. They won't be able to find you. So yeah, but if they put me near a river, a clean river with lots of fish, I could probably handle that. I would have been really good at it in my 20s. In my 20s, I feel I could have won that show. Could have won. I could have been the last one, because I would have had determination. They would have had to have dragged me out. I was one of those people that even if I was like starving, I would have been like, I can go one more day. And then they would have brought in like a group, and they would have said, "No, you come with us," and put this straitjacket on, because I wouldn't have left. Now I'm older, and you think more logically. You're like, you know what? I'm like 50 pounds lighter. I'm hungry all the time. I have no energy. I can't outrun a turtle, so I don't think I can do much more out here. I'm going back. But when you're younger, you don't think like that. You're like, I can do it. I can do it. Anyway, that's it for now. Ciao.